already know what it is. It's Barbershop Conversations. Hit the subscribe and the like button today.
Barbershop Conversation, guys. Feel free to hit the subscribe button. So, January 10th, President Obama is giving his farewell speech in the city of Chicago. And I find this so appalling, so ridiculous. This is the most asinine thing I have seen by a president, and more importantly, a black president. And for those of my new subscribers, I'll just tell you guys, I voted for President Obama twice. I voted for President Obama twice because he was blind. That Tuesday in November, I took the day off work because I was hoping that he won. And I just wanted to embrace every moment of that day. I had to go to a funeral that day. One of my dear friend's mom, we buried her that day. And I voted for President Obama and went straight to the funeral. I was so elated, so excited. And in 8 years, I mean, President Obama is high and hit low, and I know he's the president of America, but what bothers me more is that the caption said that he's giving his farewell speech in his home city of Chicago. Why this bothers me and why this hurt and why I think President Obama is an asshole for even doing anything like this. Let's be clear, I supported President Obama in every way possible. Financially, I went to the inaugurations. I sat out there in the freezing cold. So maybe I should dig up and get some pictures of me in the freezing cold at the inauguration. I saw Beyonce sing the national anthem. It was a special moment in my life. I didn't want to miss it. But for him to address the city of Chicago, to address the nation from the city of Chicago, and not once did he go to Chicago and give a speech about the gun that I know of, about the gun violence in front of the gang members, in front of the black church, in front of a graffiti riddled neighborhood, in front of black leaders in Chicago. This goes to show you that politics trumps human nature. Politics trumps the your morale, your complete morale. They said over 4,000 people. Let me Google this. I saw it today because it's running rampant because Chicago's violence. I saw it today. 762 homicides in 2016. Chicago's out of control, man. And for him to have and for him to even consider
you can get whiter teeth in 5 days with
doing his speech, and not one day did I see him in front of 10 black pastors in Chicago, 10 black leaders in Chicago. If I missed it, someone please put it in the comment section and correct me if I'm wrong. But the last 2 years, Chicago has been out of control. Two people murdered a day. And these murders are not happening, for the most part, in suburbs. These murders are happening in neighborhoods in which I grew up in, similar to in New York and in South Central LA. This is deplorable, man, and I expected more from Obama from a black man's perspective. I don't know his daily operations. Obviously, I'll never know that, but I was enthralled and excited about having a black president. For one, I get to hear him speak to America as a black man. Get to speak to America from the painful perspective of a black man. Get to speak to America from the painful perspective of raising children in America. Get to speak to America from the painful perspective of not having the same opportunity as his quote unquote contemporaries. Um, and now he's going to give a speech in front of Chicago, in front of thousands of people who's going to support him. But to never ever go to Chicago and speak about the gun violence. President Obama should go to Chicago 3 or 4 times a year. In about 4 years, they're going to start raising money for a library in Chicago for President Obama, what they do to most presidents in their home state, home city. And the celebrities are going to come in full support. Civilians like you and I who work 9 to 5 and raise families are going to donate out tens and $20 to make sure that library gets erected. And when we look back and we look at the violence in Chicago, and we never saw a picture of President Obama with a parent of a child from Chicago that I saw. I could be wrong, but the last 2 or 3 years, every week, I'm looking at a meme about Chicago, about the violence in Chicago, and not once did I see a picture of President Obama in Chicago speaking about the violence that is in Chicago that represent both our black and brown brothers and sisters. Because truth be told, we're in this together. You know, they attempt to separate us by conning us to believe that we are not in the same plight together, but when actuality we are. We're just a different shade of black. And it's painful, man, to even think that this is acceptable. And I'm gonna do a separate video about Donald Trump's comments today, but this President Obama thing is just awful, pathetic. I can't even quantify how much time and how much money I put into President Obama to go to the inauguration. I mean, it was what, $300 a night to stay in a hotel. You know what I'm saying? So, mm, you know, it's he didn't do everything bad. You know, because I'm not gonna lie to you and say I didn't make any money when the market came back up, when I invested in companies that were struggling like Bank of America and um, there was a few other companies too, but um, I invested in and they did end up doing well. BP, when the oil crisis hit, when I they got as low as $20 something a share, and I invested in that, but I didn't vote for President Obama for selfish gain. I voted for President Obama because I've been pulled over several times. I was a school teacher at the time, and I go look in the eyes of 15 to 20 black and brown underserved kids, and I believed in the hope message. And he's inspired a great deal. I can't lie and say President Obama did not inspire me. But what I will say is President Obama has done, because let's be clear, the President is not here to clean up all these iniquities in America. The president is a symbolism. It's a symbolic gesture. When he was raising money, he came to California. He went to Chicago, New York, all these Democratic stronghold states, and he pulled money. He pulled resources from them. And when an average of 2 people were being killed a day, 365, 2.2 kids, 2.1 to 2.2 people are being murdered a day with gun violence, and you don't take Air Force One there, that's hurtful. And I'm going to listen to the speech January 10th. And so it's bittersweet for me, because when I look at President Obama and I hear him speak, he comes off as very human, empathetic, not sympathetic, empathetic, which is a great characteristic to have. He's one of the greatest speakers I've ever heard in my entire life. And he looks like me. If he wasn't the president, I believe that he would be a strong father, strong man, just as I strive to be. But he's the president. And kids are being murdered in Chicago. 2 a day. Can you believe that? 2 people are being murdered every day in Chicago on average. So this bothers me, man, that he can give his first and last speech to America in the city of Chicago. And in between those 2 speeches, thousands of kids have been murdered. Thousands. So, barbershop conversation, guys. I big fan of President Obama, for real. And I want to believe that his heart was in the right place all this time. And I would be a fool to say he didn't do nothing for minorities in America, blacks in America. I can't say that he didn't. I'll forever love him for what he stood for and giving me hope and inspiration. But there's a piece of me that's angry at President Obama. Angry. Because now he's doing what every other politician does. Extort and manipulate. So, barbershop conversation, guys. Feel free, hit the subscribe button. And, it's bittersweet. I feel slightly betrayed. And on the flip side of that coin, I'm forever grateful for him being the first black president. That's a hell of an accomplishment. And I'm not turning my back on him because there's more fights to fight in this war. There's more battles to win in this war. And I believe he will be a great civilian. I'm hoping he'll move back to Chicago and inspire and encourage and make change. Or like most presidents do, they move to California, right? They move to these hot states where they don't have to endure these 4 seasons. So, barbershop conversation, guys. Mixed emotions. I'm hurt. Feelings are hurt. And I'll be listening January 10th to his speech, and we'll see what happens. So, barbershop conversations. Feel free, hit the subscribe button, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.
Hey guys, it's your girl Angie. You're watching Barbershop Conversations. Make sure to click the button below to subscribe, like the video. Don't like it, leave a comment. You can also follow me at Angelica Curtis on Instagram. See you soon.